So without further ado, let's welcome Patricia Quinn.
The Executive Director of NEPRA, Patricia Quinn, delivered the keynote address at the regional meeting of NARP. She spoke of the Downeaster's expansion to Brunswick and the importance of advocacy groups.
Our primary mission has been to finish the job, and that was when the Downeaster started in 2001. Since the beginning, this was supposed to be a Boston to Brunswick service. And when we were able to cobble together the money to get the Downeaster going, there wasn't enough money to finish the last 30 miles and get the service to Brunswick. And it's really important to get us there because the distance between Portland and Brunswick is 30 miles, but it's really more than 30 miles. Looking big picture, it connects Portland and passenger rail with the Brunswick branch and the Rockland branch, which starts in Brunswick and runs 58 miles to Rockland. So between Boston and Rockland, Maine, there's a 30-mile gap with no passenger rail service. So kind of finishing this piece really provides connectivity all the way up the coast. Coast is our bread and butter, folks. Maine is a very tourism-oriented state. Route 1 is extremely congested, and there you can't even have a conversation about trying to expand it. It's not possible. So this is a great way to continue to provide access to our rural coastal communities without having to deal with the things that come along with automobiles. I just want to end this by saying that your help is appreciated and it's needed because public policy and public awareness and the efforts of advocacy groups and those who speak to the public on our behalf is really important. To generate a cohesive message to local, state, regional governments is very important. We've been very, very fortunate to have the leadership of Governor John Baldacci, who's really been at the forefront of providing the support for funding that we needed to sustain the operations of our service and to seek these this capital funding. But it's really what's important and sustained funding. So we appreciate your efforts. And know that, you know, if you're out there with the message, our job is to do a good job with the product, and I think together we have the potential in this administration to really change this industry and get us out of the dark ages for good. And I'll see you in Brunswick in a few years.
Christopher Parker of the Vermont Rail Action Network and a member of the TrainRiders Northeast Board reported on how the Amtrak Ethan Allen service was saved.
So here we have the rail buffs, but we also have business interests and environmentalists coming together. And so that work of reaching out and building bridges is really what saved the train. Now, there was a decision that was made some time ago, and looking back on it, I realize that it was a lot more significant even than I knew at the time, which was that there was a group of mostly freight supporters, and we brought together the freight supporters and TrainRiders Northeast into one coalition. And that, again, it's in the theme of building bridges. But what happened with that is the broader base of supporters allowed us to reach out in this way. So the diversity of people involved was what made the building of bridges possible. One person or even a collection of people can't do it themselves. So that's my plug. We did it because we could do it together.
Working together with all interested and affected stakeholders, regardless of political party, was a formula that worked well in Maine when Wayne Davis decided it was time for Amtrak service to connect Portland to Boston.
What we've tried for 23 years is to prove that it doesn't matter if it's a Republican or a Democrat. Governor King called the Downeaster on day one the people's train, and most of you in the room know how we got that train. We had a law passed. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the train. We also wouldn't have the wonderful rail authority that we have, and Patricia, if we hadn't also created the legislation that created the rail authority. Now, those are people's movements. Now, the sad part is, I've watched some of you out here, we are growing older. And we need younger people. But as long as we still have some energy, sign up, become involved, because Christopher did that. He was a very active. I'm proud and pleased to say that Christopher is on our board of directors at TrainRiders. Journeys over the mountain about every other month. That's a long haul. But that's a throwback to the days when Governor Dean said to Governor King, what do we have to do to link the East Coast and the West Coast of New England? And so they had long discussions about how do you get from Burlington to Portland, Maine. Well, it's not beyond possibility. And, but it's a people movement, and to hear Christopher talk about joining chambers of commerce and business groups and that sort of thing, that's precisely what we did 20 years ago, 23 years ago. We had towns pass resolutions. We had city councils, councils of governments, the planning groups. All of them came together, and we just inundated Augusta with the paperwork, and we had the law passed. The Downeaster didn't just happen, it was made to happen. Anyway, thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Wayne. Appreciate it very much.